welcome everyone, and we are here at this lovely summit here on a internet mode. Um we are seeing here Mr. Mike, who
Hi.
has carved a name for himself in the RPM roto paint match move industry in Hyderabad, and he has made it one of its own kind. His journey has been quite long. I think 1 hour session will not be enough just to cover what he has achieved and what he wants to achieve in Hyderabad and Telangana. And he comes with a very vast experience with a direct international exposure from who's who in the industry. People, when we wish that these are the companies we want to work with, and Mike has worked with all of them. We are also joined here with Mangesh, and Mangesh has 15 years with him in the field of VFX, animation, media, production management, executions, and deliveries. Mangesh has also been overseas, so he has a very unique experience in Chinese market field, and he has executed some very good names there like Monkey King and Gemini, and I'm sure he has a lot to share with his kitty of experience, which is very widespread from VFX to CG to everything. I think the all which goes down on the floor, he knows it pretty well. And I see we are just now joined in by Mr. Praveen, who has an extensive experience on both sides of the globe, from United States to here in Hyderabad, and he has been heading digital domain, been executive producer of many shows here for last 12 years, almost a dozen years in this field right here in Hyderabad. Um, so I would like each of you. Um, to give you a slightly more pointed introduction of yourself to the audience. And then we will begin it with questions with the outline we had discussed prior to this panel started. So let me begin with Mike. Mike, tell me something more which I have probably missed.
Yeah, it's in a good. It's a long journey. Mine is almost 25 years journey in the industry. Started in 1993. 95 worked with or 93 I worked in local industry animation with this movie industry. Then moved to learn in Pune. Studied in CDAC. Then worked for Crest Communication, Sham Brahmanna, 95 to 2000 in Mumbai. We're doing a lot of commercials. Also had a visual effects supervisor there. Then 2000, I moved to Canada called Rainmaker VFX company. Worked till there 2005, and then moved to US, LA. Worked there for 10 years. With Technicolor, I worked with Technicolor, Company 3, Accent Media Company 2, and Sony Imageworks and Warner Brother. Worked there, then started, Rotomaker. So in 2008, we started Rotomaker, small team, 10 people, and majorly I spent a lot of 15 years in US and Canada, so I have good friends as my clients. So, and we do works for them. Most of them are my friends only. So we are a good amount of team now in India, doing good, and we focus more auto paint, match move, and automation. We also do restoration, film restoration, digital film restoration. These are major areas what we do. And I think is main is I moved after working 15 years in US. I thought, why don't I should move back to India and get projects and work and create more employment here. So that's what happened 15 years back. It was very tough. When I used to come and train people. It was very hard to get auto paint artists 15 years back and set up the pipeline, did the pipeline, spent so many time. Then 2008, I decided I should be in India to expand more. So then I moved to India. So far we're doing good, and so many projects. We worked more than 2,000 feature films in Hollywood and other languages. Yeah, in this 14 years of journey. and we have learned a lot, especially 1.5 year COVID time. Also, we went through a lot of phases as everybody was going through. So now we are slowly coming up back, and things are good. So with the industry, yeah, that's about me. And yeah, this when we can get to the topics and talk more detail, how is the pipelines, what we are planning for, for the remote access, whatever. Yeah, that's about me. Yeah,
Yeah. Very nice and brief. Thank you, Mike. And it has been a massive journey.
yeah,
Um, I remember when I was working with Anybrain, Mr. Jesh Krishnamurthy had something exactly similar spend in USA with the clients, and he was working there, in fact. And then
yeah,
those friends then he came back to India, and he also started a unit which also became a success in its own way
yes,
in the
yeah,
VFX industry.
yeah,
And sometimes I feel this is a very good way to come back to India with a bunch of clients,
yeah,
showing your own work as your credibility to do the deliverance, because it is not
yeah,
just execution, but it is also so many other things with the foreign clients to win over
yeah,
their transparency and trust.
yeah.
Okay, Praveen, I would now come to you, and I gave you a very brief introduction of yourself. I would like you to elaborate on that, because I do see that you have done quite a bit in education in various continents, rather, and then came to this field. So I'm quite keen to know how this transition also happened. All
Yeah,
yours.
thanks, Mr. Shambhu. So it was very glad to talk to you in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been in animation and VFX for almost more than 20 years now. So I started off actually. My background is in architecture, but I moved into animation, and then I did my masters in US in animation and multimedia, and then started working in multiple studios, especially in broadcast. I was in Atlanta working for CNN and Cartoon Network um, as a CG generalist, and then I started teaching. So I was actually teaching in Art Institute of Atlanta for a lot of years, and also taught for a semester at SCAD. Then it happened that I got a chance to as an educator at Rhythm and Hughes, and which is one of the premium studios in visual effects and those days. So, and then when they were setting up in Hyderabad, and you know, I moved back to Hyderabad and worked with Rhythm and Use Hyderabad for quite a few years, and then later on, I did multiple things, worked with multiple VFX studios in India, and then finally now I'm at Digital Domain, working as an executive producer here for almost 5 years now. So that's kind of the journey I had. So, so mostly my experience, fortunately, being in education, so for a good amount of time, and then moving into production. So it gave me a wide exposure of the tools and the technology, and as well as the production, VFX production workflow. So that's kind of become handy in both ways. So yeah, that's about me.
Yeah,
Okay.
great. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you.
Mangesh, a little bit about yourself for our users and to the co-panelist.
To be very honest, I'm deeply honored that Shambhu sir, I'm in talks with you. I'm sharing a stage with you, Mr. Mike sir and Praveen sir. So I definitely don't have as a huge and massive experience. I know Shambhu sir, you were my mentor once upon a time. So
Yeah,
yeah, we worked together. So yeah, coming back, I have almost 17, 18 plus years of experience. Basically, I've started. I mean, I've did my masters from Pune University. I've did uh, my media management courses. I've started from a very small studio, so at that time I've just taken up an opportunity as a faculty because I deliberately choose that opportunity because I want to learn more. And the questions which comes from the students, from the front person, you never know. Like it's a bomb which is coming to, and you need to digest that thing. So that was a really a good learning experience for me. So after that, I moved to Annie Brain. I started working on a few of the Hollywood movies. So that was basically my turning point. And after that, I moved to Reliance as a process supervisor. So I've supervised quite a big shows when RMW was there. I was there for a couple of 4 years. So unfortunately, RMW lost the edge, and it has to. I mean, we all has to have to move on. So after that, I moved to Dubai. I went on shoot. So I started my own freelancing, and this is how I started jumping into actual core VFX, because the type of hunger what I have. So I just want to learn more things. So I was there in Dubai for a couple of years. Then I moved to China. I was there for quite a long time. I was there for quite four years down the line in China, and basically that was a really good learning experience. Precisely, I learned a new deal of technology out there, because those guys are basically creators, and we guys are the consumers. Yeah. So this is how I happen to learn a lot of things, and now I was in Legend for last 4 years down the line. So whatever I've learned so far, I've attempted to implement in the current pipeline, current scenario, to execute the shows in a bit time, or probably in a record time, to finish the deadlines or so. So basically, this is a small journey of mine. So yeah, this is all.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
to see you, but back in India again, Mangesh, after going to Dubai and China. So definitely talks good
Thank you,
about
sir.
the Indian industry once again. And I'm
Yes.
sure there will be a lot many more projects pouring into our country post Corona is getting extinguished everywhere. Okay.
Of course.
On this panel, our topic has been how have we been facing various challenges, and how do we convert a seemingly impossible situation when we are faced with, how do we turn it to our advantage, not just to making that impossible situation possible situation, but also to make it most beneficial. So I thought of getting one or two actual case study examples before 2020, that is before Corona started. In your 10-15 years of experience, you must have faced clients, you must have faced situations, you must have faced monetary, technology, resource situations. And how did you tide over? Because most of the VFX projects are not really a year long or a 2 year long project. They are all short duration project. And what saved you? What kind of decision making saved you? And what kind of foresight saved you? And I really wanted to hear from your own mouth at least one or two studies, starting with Mike sir, because you transitioned from an employee perspective to becoming a owner. So of course that was a one big change, and then making it to such a huge gigantic organization. I am sure as a businessman, you have faced different tight situations, and also as a entrepreneur, as a person who knows technology hands on. So can you share with us at least one or two such case studies,
Yeah.
humongous odds which you turned to your advantage, and hence the country benefited, employees benefited? Because I heard you speak that you came back to India, one of the purpose was to generate employment, and that's a very noble thing to do, generating employment, and our creative field can do that to literally thousands of people. So keeping in mind that global picture, without taking the sight of it, please elaborate on at least two solid case studies, sir, in the past life before 2020.
Yeah. That's good. Thanks, Shambhu. The thing is that the last 14 years, last 8 years when I was in India, it was big challenges because my team that was 8 years back was not that big. Now we have grown up quite a bit. One of the main reasons which helped me is focusing on education. Yeah, education is the main foundation. You need to have why we are coming to India because of the skill and talent. So first, training the skill and talent. That's a basic, important thing. That is which has helped me to grow very fast. That's why we started when I came to India. First thing I was facing a problem, especially when international companies coming in 2009, 10, so on, like Technicolor, Deluxe, DNEG, and Prime Focus Local. Other companies coming, what is happening? It's a good sign, but there was so shortage of employment. So, but they were also focusing, but not. I think the main thing is that there's so supply and demand problem at that time. So as soon as I train somebody, some other companies come and pouch and take it, and that was keep on going. So when I decided, I started one school called Rotomaker School, training, and we did, but it was not enough. Then I started, doing cooperation to the academies, like Arena Animation, Mac. I saw for a couple of years, but they were not giving good students. They used to give general students, or they give to animation students, different. So I thought it's uh, really not helping, because they look into the business point to make them study. They don't correct the fees, but they don't focus on a quality education. So then I started buying these institutions. Like we have now training academies in Hyderabad. We have three arena animations. Four. We have in Dilshad Nagar, Himat Nagar, and Medipatnam and Amirpet. And also we have Mac animation. We have four Rotomaker academies. So these more than around 1,500 students we produce every year. Yeah, and this really helped not only for me, also for the industry, because the reason, the more employment we create, more people we train and skill them, they'll be either helpful for us or to the industry, which means it's indirectly going to support our company also. If there are surplus people in the market, so then they don't have to poach my people, so that's going to help. And there was so much, I've seen the clients, in 2008, 10, 5 and 8, before 2010, when we used to go and work for the clients in international, they were very hesitating to give work to India, you know. But after a period of time, they understand the quality, and we are doing good job and delivery, so they started giving more projects. So the key which helped me for is that training. The training has really helped me to expand my process very good. So I suggest any company doing that, whatever small or medium-sized company, 20 to 30% people you keep on training them parallel, which is going to help you will cost cut. If you look at a company, 30 to 40% of the key people, and around for 50 to 60% people, nobody works more than 3 or 4 years, and after 4 years they don't work, because other companies are paying good salaries, they go. But this 40-50% people, we always keep creating. We want new people, we want to create more people, so that once they work in our Rotomaker organization, the other companies also pay very good, because we train them the pipeline for working for international projects. They can do good job, so which is good for them and good for us. So we keep on want to push more new students, so that they get opportunities. So that is how it helped. And this industry, if you look at, between like 15 years and now, it's become like a software industry. Those time, very few companies were there. Now we have seen so many companies, small and big size, which is good. That means so much work is there. I was there last whole month. I was in US and Canada. I had almost 30 days trip. 2 days back only I returned. So what I've seen in the COVID, people have changed their mindset, of giving work, working from home, and now they're pushing a lot of more work, to come to India. So because there shortage of artists, because the projects have increased. If you look at OTT platform has come up, OTT is there, and Netflix is giving so many projects, and many other people are coming up with the projects. So there's so much of potential. Next coming 2-3 years, there's going to be tons of work. We already refusing the work. We're already not taking the work. So I see the same thing with many studios. They're not able to handle the work. If And also there's shortage of skilled manpower. So that gap should be filled. So if I think any students working locally or internationally should focus more on the training, that is going to be very good for their future company. And challenges, of course, we always had challenges, with the employees, new people coming up and training them. These are the kind of challenges, but it will be part of the job. So after some time, it will become a process. So those are the things, and yeah, pretty much this is the thing where what I would suggest, and which helped. And our system is that we are pretty much, we have standard clients. More of a good clients are there. Reputed studios, we have direct relation with them. So that is really helping because we are also based in Hollywood. Our main office is in Hollywood, and our team there also have very good, strong relations with the clients, and it's everything working. So I think it's as a startup company, 14 years back. In fact, I still feel I'm very new because there's so much thing to learn. There's so many new types of jobs are coming. So many people and so much growth is in industry. And they, I would say at least the present industry can happen 3 to 4 times. So that much potential is there. There's a lack of skilled people, even though after so many years also, is because many companies have come up and there's many projects. 15 years back, this much project was not outsourcing. Now there's a lot of work is there. So that's why there's always shortage of manpower. Yeah.
Yeah. So one question I had, Mike, on this,
Yeah.
because before you started the training institute,
Yeah.
uh, I heard that you had already approached the big education institutes like Mac, Arena,
Yes.
Framebox,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the kind. And obviously, your requirement was in hundreds of people. So,
Yeah.
what happened there? Meaning, could they not develop a specific tailor-made courses for your requirement, or what was
Yeah.
the
They were
problem?
not.
Because this is the
Yeah.
same thing I hear even in the animation sphere, that whenever we want specific people, let's say for
Mm.
compositing, or let's say for backgrounds or
Yeah.
layouting, or in your case, just for roto, most of the animation institute courses are large courses, and they,
Yeah.
as you rightly said, they make general students, so it's a
Yeah.
wider knowledge. So the
Mm.
student tries to figure out that what best he is in.
Yeah.
But when industry requires manpower, they require specific manpower. So
Yeah.
could you not develop curriculums with them for, let's say, 1 month, 2 month, so that they could supply you the manpower? What went wrong there?
See, the problem, most of these institutions are very small and they are not able to attract right talent people. So if you look at Roto and Paint, we don't want too creative people also. We want something who have passion in movies and who are hardworking and smart working. If too creative also they can't. If they're too creative also they again move out as supervisor or they want to keep on changing. And these institutions, they were good, but the thing is that they were not that to the mark, where they can quickly train. Arena and Mac, I've seen they have to have small institutions run. So in that kind of institution, some people also don't like to join them. So when I took out these institutions, I restructured them very good. We also did some additional certification like Nuke certification for these institutions. We also give special training for Nuke. This all didn't happen before, so that they were flexible on that. Even Aptech and Mac, because they know we wanted to do customization. So same, all courses are there. Whatever they have, a system is going on. Additional to that, we give additional courses, and we focus more on creating awareness about the industry because we know the people who are working in the industry know there's so much shortage of manpower, but as a normal audience they don't know. They think everybody wants to do engineering, a doctor, a lawyer. So nobody parents want to send people there. So we're trying to create that atmosphere in the parents that there's a great potential for this industry, and you can send there's job opportunities in the industry. That is the kind of awareness we wanted to create. Then only parents should allow the kids to join. So after we got into the education, that really helped to expanding. So I thought, better to have this, training production so that it is going to help for me and rest of the companies in the industry. Yeah.
So, for my viewers, our viewers, basically, Rotomaker did a very good balancing act between keeping the client trust and keeping the orders coming in. at the same time generating enough workforce on the levels that they will work with them for 3 to 4 years at least before they are gone into the industry and onto the better opportunities. And they created such an environment, not only for educating but also to work on the consistently on international projects. So one eye was on the client, but the other eye was always on generating manpower constant, and that is also a huge percentage. 40% fresh manpower is a fantastic percentage to be also cost effective, and then not worry about anybody poaching any single member and getting hyper about it, which is very nice input, Mr. Mike. Okay, Praveen, coming over to you. I would like to listen to at least couple of challenges you faced before Corona, and how did you, tide them over? How did you, how could you bring the situation under control? A seemingly hopeless situation.
Yeah, I think the one of the things we have noticed is generally when the scale up of especially for VFX studio, I think the infrastructure is always a huge challenge because the shows right now, the VFX shows, get really with the new content requirement, whether it's 4K now, they are asking, so you have ride films which are 8K. So these kind of the usage of machine power keeps increasing dynamically, and the iterations we have to do is also much higher. So these are some of the challenges we face, and then especially when we are talking about studios like Digital Domain or any of the premier VFX studios, they work across locations. So we have come to a generation where every big studio has locations across the world, whether US or India, or sometimes in China or Europe. So they have to be integrated. So they have to work together. So the work goes seamlessly. So that is kind of the challenges which, especially in this industry, that we always face. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
loud and clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So that is kind of the challenges we face. So I think the to come across, to kind of come over these challenges, I think uh, it's very important that we come up with better solutions, faster solutions, where multiple artists from across locations can work seamlessly, communicate seamlessly, and also turn out more iterations, turn out high quality iterations, so that the internal supervisors or the clients can see more real time output, so that they can give the creative feedback and work on it. So that's the kind of challenges we were facing predominantly over the years.
Thank you, Praveen.
Yeah.
And coming to Mangesh, I would like to have a real hands-on, on the floor situations. How did you tackle them, and how did you get over them? How did you control them?
Yes, of course. I mean, ever since I remember, it was 19th April when we got the news in Pune that, okay, we need to shut down for a week. I was like, week, no problem. At least we'll start a communication, and I have a little breathing space for the future planning and all. So, but even, I mean, immediately after 2 to 3 days, the lockdown been extended, and we are absolutely on the gas, and the deliveries were actually on our shoulders. So that was the very first project what me and my team faced. Like, hey, now what to do? So the very first step, what we took is like, okay, guys, since we are bounded up with the NDAs and all those things, so my IT was like literally on their toes. Like they have moved the systems they gave to artists. So that was the admin part, the IT part. The main challenge which came because ever since I am in this industry, uh, I never explained a shot or probably a technique on call because I used to go on the floor because everything is absolutely handy. But this was a biggest challenge because I am saying something, but the output is coming something else. So that was the biggest challenge. Now, how to encounter that? So definitely there are a lot of packages, a lot of software where you can share the screen. But what the main thing was losing is a touch, you know. So when you're sitting on the artist chair physically and showing them, hey, you need to do this thing. You don't use this pipeline to work on. Better use this grade or CC node on technical terms. But here it was like literally impossible. So to control this, yes, the communication was the most important factor, because what you need is the language what the artist understand. Now no artist is that proficient to understand a clean English what the client is saying, because initially what used to happen, like, okay, there is some mails from the client, he is speaking in some European English or probably US English, where maybe the artist won't understand. So we used to explain it like, hey, do this thing, hey, do that thing. So here we started taking an additional step of doing an annotation of each and every note. Like, hey, we want this. Hey, we want this color note. So, being as a supervisor, being as a pilot of the entire plane, so actually I have to sit on each and every shot. Like, okay, hey, please do this, do that, and just carry on with that. So the more pain we as a management person we started taking over. So this was a phase, and after that, after delivering a project or a month or two, then the show started moving smoothly. But that was the rough sea where we are sailing. Like this first 3 months was really rough, and there are a lot of loopholes, like where you cannot encounter that, you cannot challenge that. Like there is a huge storm happening at my place, and because of that, there is no network. Because of that, there is no electricity. So you hamper that phase. I mean, that timing gets hampered, but you need to have the plan B also. So we started implementing the backup artists. We always keep 3 to 4 artists on bench. Not exactly they are not doing anything, but they are doing a really small work. But if any shot gets stuck up, hey, jump on this shot. So the advantage of this situation is initially the people were making their own nuke script according to their wish. Here we actually modified and make an entire template of that. So if third person is sitting on it, he should not be hunting for like which connection is coming from where. So the moment he sits, he should spend not more than 10 minutes and start working over it. So this is the biggest advantage what we happen to get, or rather, I should say we achieved that. So this is how we implemented, and things started moving smoothly after a lapse of time, 6 months. So now there is no hurdle. People, partially people are coming on board, partially they are working from home. So yeah, so this juggling is happening. So yeah, this is the entire scenario.
Yeah. So I guess each of you faced different challenges before and after, also in the COVID. So you developed your own systems
Yes.
from a mass communication base, which was there on a contact interaction with the artist. So you
Very true.
develop system which override their English communication skills as well,
Correct, sir.
uh, so that things are more technical to them rather than being communicated in a
That's
English
right.
language, rather than it is just on a nuke script. And a standardization seems to have happened
Right.
across communication, and those standardization is what the Western companies are very good at, because if you see
Yeah.
their pre-production material and the manner in which the material comes in is so standardized that anybody who opens it can really understand. And I think
True.
this is where the skill set of the middle management and the middle senior management is extremely useful. How innovative they are, and how innovatively they will fix these communication issues, which are not
True.
really resource issues, because you do have resources,
Yeah.
but they are globally placed. Rather, in their globally placed means they are into their home. And how do you communicate with each and every one of them by a standard communication method and developing a systems, and then also keeping backup so that the client delivery does not get affected.
True.
So in these 2 years, you seem to have developed systems to tide over all those problems that the developing nation like India presents, and I guess it will keep on presenting.
Yes, of
Uh,
course.
so that's a big challenge for sure. But I'm happy to know that you develop systems and
Yeah.
the communication language become technical, which client, which creative artists understand. I just remembered on the English communication part. Um, that is not just the problem in India. When you have a Japanese client, you will really understand the length and breadth of the English communication problem. You have to make really small sentences, and you really have to break your head understanding what they have really trying to say, what we
Right.
understand, and what we have to communicate further. So the English is a universal language. At the same time, it's a universal problem understanding, as different people understand it differently. So that language of communication on the floor needs to be more systematic, system based, more technical for everybody to understand. So
Yes.
that's a good takeaway on this.
Thank you, sir.
Coming to Mike, sir,
Yeah.
you just mentioned you came just 2 days before, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you are heavily jet lagged.
Yeah. Jet lag.
So,
Yeah. It's just
yeah. So
sleeping
I'm
time in
sorry,
US
I'm
now.
gonna trouble you with more questions here.
No
Um,
problem.
what did you do with a 2,000 plus manpower when all of a sudden Corona challenge came, and then things were all switched off by government authorities? How did you tackle the situation in those 6 months?
See, we are luckily we are remote in Hyderabad. We are away from the city, like 20 kilometers away from the city, and we are in industrial zone. So we were able to manage with 50%, 30% because it was slow at the time. The jobs were less, 1.5 year. So 20 to 30% were there. Mostly we call the artists to offices. So first 6 months we didn't have much work. Almost later when it slowly started picking up, so we started calling 10%, 20% artists, maintain the social distance and keep on working. Because here, what happened here, the challenges with India is, nowadays, as Prem was telling, the shots are coming high, like 4K, 6K, 8K. These 4K shots, too hard. And we have big internet challenges. Artists work from home also to upload the footage, download the footage. So many challenges. And they need to have high-end systems, high-end monitor to quality control. And so it was very tough. So if it's a lightweight files, then we can manage, take a project and work for 3 4 days. But roto and paint is something everybody comes and goes. So that was little hard for us, and we also are more concerned about the security. Like we don't want to give the footage outside, so we're very strong on that. So we managed to do it at office only. That really helped us, and we had challenges, but we didn't take much work. Initially, we didn't take much work. We said the problem because in Hollywood also most of things were closed. Lockdown happened, a couple of weeks here and there, so they are also not working. They are also not sending jobs. So probably 6 to 12 months. I think it was a rough time. But good thing is that once things are getting operated, especially after vaccination coming, we focus more on vaccinating people. So we 100% facility is vaccinated. From long back only we start vaccination, and that really helped. So that is the main thing. But for some reason we never wanted to give work from home, and few cases we did initially to try it out, but it really didn't work. So the thing, even I've seen in Hollywood, 80 to 90% of Hollywood studios are now working from home still. Yeah, they're not coming to
Wow.
work; they're working from.
But of
Yeah,
course, their country's systems and support network is strong enough in
strong.
Wi-Fi and electrical
Wi-Fi,
connections.
internet is strong,
Internet is strong,
and
and also
the
electricity
content
never
security.
goes.
Yeah,
And
content security also. If an employee, they have strong NDAs with each employee. They
correct,
work from home. The footage leaks out. They're liable and
yeah,
responsible because we
legal
can track
legal
it.
implement legal law and order
Legally.
system is pretty good in that
Yeah.
of this regard for
So
content production.
Indian system is tough about that particular thing.
Correct.
So
So how much percentage of your employees had machines at home with VPN and firewalls?
very very probably very less. We didn't take 6 months to 12 months. We didn't take works. Yeah,
Okay.
we didn't take work. We managed. We tried initially, but things were getting delayed. So we didn't take. We said refuse the clients, and we and of course the business also. See, in this pandemic time, compared to animation and gaming, VFX got more affected. Yeah.
Hmm.
Gaming actually became good. They increase the business. Animation also, they take the project, they can work from home. VFX is something you need to come, spend time. Even if you're doing complete VFX like comp something, okay, you work on one shot, but it's not. We are doing roto paint, right? So every shot we need to work and deliver. So it was tough for us. So almost you can say 9 to 12 months we didn't have work, and later we slowly 20%, 30%, 50% we managed. Yeah.
So how moving ahead, how do you see? Because now some of those employees really started enjoying working from home.
Yeah.
Obviously, their rent costs and their travel costs,
Yeah.
and, all the moment you put a step outside of the house, there is always
Yeah.
expenses. So people are
Yeah.
now very focused about cutting down their losses of last 2 years,
Yeah.
and they still want to work from home. So in such scenarios, I'm sure there will be some jobs which they can do from home. So moving ahead in 2022, will you be allowing people to work from home, or have you shortlisted the jobs which they can do from
Mm.
home? So
Yeah.
what will be the percentage of your virtual manpower and your on-site manpower?
Yeah. I'm totally against working from home. Yeah. We don't want to do that, and I suggest others also not to do, because what is happening, it also affects the economy. Because if you come to work office, even though they, a lot of, office places, canteens or other workplaces, if you're sitting at home, you hardly buy like 4 or 5 shirts in a year. But coming to work, you buy at least 15, 20 shirts. Yeah.
Correct.
So you use the gas. You
Yeah.
come to the restaurant.
Yeah.
So it is helping other system of the economy. Yeah.
Yes,
So we need
it
to
does.
support other system. So
Mm,
if you're just sitting, you're making some money or saving some money, but you're not spending money. So how can
mm.
the economy affect? So many other people jobs are affecting.
Yes.
See, in New York, more than 3,000 stores, street businesses closed because of COVID. People are working from home.
Mm,
So
mm.
here also a lot of restaurants and food places,
Yeah, yeah. So many,
shops,
so many. It's
and
deserted.
just
Mm,
every textile industry, everything is affecting. So I suggest, coming to work, you're supporting these employees. Yeah, more than you're saving. So the economy should be there, done.
mm,
And some things can happen back home, but especially roto paint, and we could have managed that from home also, but we don't want to do that. We made sure I lost at least 10% of artists who wanted, as I said, they want to work from home because they can do our job and they can also do other job. So
mm,
if in this industry you're taking work from home, not an apart like creative level or some particular team, but roto paint artist wise, I'm sure most of the artists, 50 to 60%, they not only work for our company, they work for 2 3 companies. They take freelance work and try to do from home. So, and the projects get delayed because they start anytime. They have 2 3 projects. They're supposed to give at 6 o'clock from home. They never give 6. They give at 7 or 8 or 10 because they're doing other work, or they're or doing this work in whenever they have time and do. So it's wasting and getting delays. So I personally don't recommend for our industry. It may not suit, unless it might suit for some areas in the VFX, but roto paint, matchmo, and all these things is very tough. It's like I feel like I'm giving work from home. I'm giving to freelancers,
mm.
full-time freelancers. So we don't have control against the content. Something happens to content. I've seen couple of students went. Some people took work from home and they put the projects on YouTube, and the clients get mad. It's all it's going to be big. So it's going to be big issues.
Yeah, so you
Uh,
have taken a pretty straightforward strategic decision, and
yeah.
you are going ahead in 2022
Yes.
with that decision to make it clear. And in this industry, what I have seen is very important is taking a decision and sticking to it
Yeah.
to make sure to see the good results of it coming out in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Coming to Praveen, digital domain with its ownership and partnerships. How did you handle the Corona challenge? And how do you see your journey ahead from 2022?
So yeah, I think Corona, as unfortunate it was uh, for the worldwide, and especially specific to animation and VFX across all the businesses, and especially so for entertainment industry. So the challenges were huge and unknown, but it has opened up a lot of things for us, which was not possible then, which we were not thinking then, but it really gave us some interesting challenges. And if I look back now, I think it was a good challenge to have, because we have a lot of solutions which we got. For example, like when we are working on really sensitive projects, and the TPN, and that, which was, the auditing was very huge for this part of the world, which is understandable, because for especially for production houses in North America or internationally, they were a little apprehensive of getting the work to India. But I think what has Corona has done is, they kind of gave a more liberal view where people can start working from home. So that was one positive thing, definitely. But having said that, I would agree with Mr. Mike's idea of, still there is a concern with security, a huge concern. People working from home, or especially the kind of sensitivities when we're working with projects and imagery that we are working on. So that concern is still there. It's kind of a huge risk which is taken. I hope that is solved in the coming years, but as of now, that is one risk which has not been really handled. It's like a ticking time bomb, which I don't know. It's not a good thing. So I hope there's a solution for that. But apart from that, I think what this pandemic has given is work from home for people, connecting into the studio networks across locations. So which was not even thinkable for this industry before pandemic. So people can work at their own from their own location, and then the database was maintained in the server. So what we have done is try to mitigate a lot of these issues, was to have a strong VPN setup where people would log into our machine from their home, but none of the data gets transferred into their local machine. So while they were working, they were remotely working. So none of the data was actually was in their personal machines. So we made sure of that. And the second part is when we are also handling about the bandwidths. So the bandwidth was definitely, because it was not consistent, especially in India. As you know, the bandwidths are up and down, and also if the artist or the employee is in a location where his bandwidth is challenged. So we had to optimize that a lot. So we had to make sure that what is the even the artist should be able to work using their phone hotspot. So that was where we came down to. So we saw that, okay, what is the least amount of bandwidth we are looking at? So we saw that, okay, 20 Mbps is pretty decent enough. So we try to accommodate that the artist can work seamlessly with the 20 Mbps network. So so what we have done is talking to the local internet providers to make sure that we give a dedicated line. So our internal dedicated line was strong enough so that even the user, if he's working on a low bandwidth, still be able to see his work with the least amount of lag. So we handled that. So we used certain technologies which are there, like TeraDigen and thin client that is there. So we used all these setups to make sure that the work happens seamlessly.
So what was your percentage of total employees working on a VPN firewall structure?
Yeah, that's a good thing. So so currently when we're talking about right around this time last year, we had almost like on any given day we were having about 150 to 180 people logging in at any given time. So, and we made sure that they can log in. But again, as more people were logging in, there was a little slow down. So we had to, at least in initial stages, we had to kind of ask them to stagger a little bit. But you'll have these peak hours, so like when people have to send their works. So those at that time we did find that there's a lag, like people getting kicked out. So those kind of issues were there. So we kind of mitigated that by having more licenses, having better bandwidths. But as things started getting better, so now we have, as of today also, we have another 10 to 15% still working from home, and which they're working pretty fine. And that was one thing about the technology front. The other front is the communication, which was for production perspective, as Mike was saying or Mangesh was saying, the huge issue is the communication. Like if I'm working on a certain shot or a task, how will my teammate know, or how will the next department know? That was a nightmare to start off with. So the production crew had to be on the toes. There were concerns where, okay, the data was not getting passed on and things like that. So I think things which were taken granted then, like, okay, earlier, even though you're not following the process, things would move because, the artist is sitting next to you, or the production crew is next there. So they will just tell, okay, pick up this. But that won't happen. So I think by the second wave, we made absolutely sure that the communication is as tight as possible, as seamless as possible. So one, we made our pipeline a little more robust so that the down departments get a good notification or a good information that yes, your upstream work is ready, just pick it up. So that's we made it tighter, and the communication that we support teams with production crew, we ask them to help us in making sure that information gets passed on as much as possible. But but I think, as I said, this resulted in a lot more late night decrease in efficiency. Like what could have been done in 8 hours in a day would easily stretch to 12 hours a day. So that was always there. But I hope that we find better tools where moving forward, the seamless movement when people are not sitting next to each other is what we need to. The challenge we need to kind of lower that as we move forward.
So, moving ahead into 2022, will you be continuing in the same systems, or will it be a mix of both? And if yes, what will be the percentage? That is working from studio and working from home with the systems you have already established. Hello, I think we have lost Karloor. Is he there, Praveen?
I guess.
Yeah. So
I think
coming back, so during COVID, companies have tackled a lot of production communication systems, as Mangesh elaborated upon, and as Praveen elaborated upon on the technical part of it with the VPN and firewalls and how to use different softwares to make sure that the flow is continuing. Moving ahead, different companies, of course, have a different take on the situation. The Mike has a very clear strategy moving ahead how to do. He had to take a difficult decision of refusing clients and not taking up work during such situations, and then now he foresees such a boost in this industry that his preference is people come and work directly from the office, and once again people will have those high numbers of employment can be generated. Now, one question I had for Mr. Mike, you created an ecosystem, into the created a company with a large number of people employed, and second, you also generated an ecosystem of education institute which supplies the organization. Now, moving ahead with a lot of entrepreneurial skills in this country and lot of people who have like 10 years, 15 years of experience, they do have entrepreneurial genes too. And like you said, people move out in career, they make a switch in 4 years' time. And in about 8 years' time, people move into entrepreneurial things. So, as a company of this scale, are you going to generate an outsourcing ecosystem within the country, or at least within Telangana to begin with? And with the internet and things getting so much ahead into 5G now, are you looking at making a ecosystem of outsourced studios to you, attached to you, doing only your work across India? Are you working on that?
No, I'm not. We are totally against outsourcing. The reason is, basically, our clients, most of the clients, 90 95% studios We have NDS with them where we can't tell or show or give any work to them. When we outsource the work, we are breaking the rules, so it's not possible. So we're strictly, what happened, like, I have, I've 10 clients. In that, 8 clients say don't outsource. 2 might be flexible. For this 2 also try to outsource, but when in the market it goes, okay, rotomaker outsource. They don't know which one they outsource, but you get a name in the industry are outsourcing. So which we didn't want to do that. So we totally against outsourcing. But ecosystem of outsourcing means, this is especially when you're working for international projects, it's very sensitive with the data. So any time you can go wrong. If you're outsourcing, they can catch. The anytime it can be wrong. The content can be gone onto the internet, which is secure, which is not good. So for outsourcing studios, I know if anything, I'll increase the team. I'll increase the team and train the people. But any no plans are in future also. I don't think with our brand we can't do that. Unless it's some local movies, we have to open a different studio name and do that on a different name. But we are busy with our things only. We are okay what we're doing. So I think that's the thing. Outsourcing. I also suggest other studios try to expand your team, but outsourcing, can be a problem one time, because the content is go somewhere, and see generally what happens. For example, you've done a work for Disney, we say, so we outsource and they do in Disney. Actually, the client Disney may not give directly to they might be studio and they might be given to some other studio. And the people in India, what about this? People go and put on YouTube that the movie they put, and they want to try to reach directly to the Disney people. They go to the Disney website, say, "So I worked in the project." So then, in the middle, there's studios who have taken the project giver, and they go mad,
Correct.
and we get a bad name, or name to the not only industry or India means like they outsource work, they put on website, that level of should that will damage the country for all the companies who are getting directly work. So that's a very we need to make it very strict, not to outsource. So especially the NDA clients.
Yeah.
Startup companies, whatever projects you have, 2, 3, start scaling of 5, 10, 20, try to increase within your team. Generally, what I do is that, I do overtimes. I don't know how many companies India do. So we do overtimes. We encourage a lot of overtimes because
Oh, that's good.
yeah, we do so that is helping. Instead of giving outside people work, I pay extra money to my own artists to officially I give overtime after 8 hours shift, whatever they one day Monday they're supposed to do, they do it. We encourage overtimes. So that way, instead of giving outside people, I'm trying to. There's so many people in our thing, they try to take it. Suppose if we have a team of people of 50 people, I can give 75 people work also. I can pay the 25 minus overtime. So it's helping them and it's helping me.
Yeah.
So and I also don't need to put that much machinery software. We can rotate. We have 3 shifts. That's fine. We try to utilize more people and thing. So that's my talk on the outsourcing part. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we are reaching our end of the session here. So just to summarize, on these three different companies doing three different kinds of work, each of them have taken a particular methodology of execution when faced with challenges. And those challenges, whether there is a pandemic or whether there is no pandemic, or whether it is post-pandemic, what has heavily influenced their decisions is the strategy. The
Yeah.
primary strategy each studio with its own parameters have taken differently. And when you take a strategy, people have to do quick decisions so that the next levels of production and technicality do not suffer and it doesn't become a firefighting. So between strategy and decision making, if the time is as less as possible, then any odd situation can be tackled. Of course, like Praveen said, there is a huge requirement of changing licenses, buying new licenses, trying out with licenses, and there is a lot of R&D and experimentation which happens in execution. on especially on the technical front. And Mangesh and Praveen both elaborated on the huge challenges in communication. But now they have successfully evolved their own ways of the communication to take care of any new challenges which will come post 2022. So yes, it is going to be an interesting world ahead from 2022. Some will continue definitely on their experiences to generate more businesses, more ecosystems, and develop their knowledge which has been learned into these tough times, and evolve further. And it's going to be interesting journey for every one of us from VFX. I think we just got one question here. Can every one of you take one minute each to answer that question, please? Because we're like 4:03 now. There is a question here about the AR and implementation of AR VR into the future. Are we going away from reality?
Yeah, actually, I just commented on that particular question. The very first thing is AR VR in future losing the reality? No, it's not. See, AR VR is entirely a different technology altogether, and filmmaking is a different technology. Okay, so basically, having a marriage of these two technology, it's a new vertical altogether. So we are not at all losing anything. In fact, we are gaining things. If we start developing such kind of technology, we will be the pioneers, and it will definitely increase the scope of work for the people who are already working, who are doing already their R&D. And yes, people are actually doing their R&D, like Epic Games are doing their R&D in such kind of things, and they have reached to a quite a successful level also. And even we in our company also, we did rather we delivered quite a good shows. So yes, so the fair answer is we are not losing anything. We are in fact generating more opportunities and helping a technology to grow further for the new creation of imagery or the new dimension altogether.
Praveen?
Yeah, I think AR VR is a different vertical right now. I think it's evolved in such a way that it's an amalgam of, there is a part of animation, there's part of VFX, and a part of little part of game design. Also, if you can say, is involved in the AR VR verticals, but it has a different set of. It's become a different set of medium, different set of audience for it. There will be a crossover, probably. For example, if I can give an example. Okay, there's a very popular game or a popular movie. If I can take a movie like Bahubali, yeah, it's been a very popular movie, a very huge movie. So then the production houses or the creative team can think of making a VR AR content based on that. But again, interestingly, there have been instances where there are very popular games which were made into movies. So if there is any AR VR content which becomes popular over the period of time, and that can become a feeding ground to make it into a feature film and things like that. But yeah, it is just a different medium of entertain. Could be a medium of entertainment on knowledge base. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be a totally different vertical. But there will be a certain amount of knowledge which is similar, but will diverge off as they move forward.
Yeah. Mike, what is your take on it, on this particular question?
Yeah, we are. I think pretty much Praveen and Mangesh has covered. Adding to that, I would like to say one thing. Yeah, we are technologies coming into Roto and Paint also now.
Okay.
R&D is happening. I was in LA. I visited a couple of things. So probably in 3 to 5 years there might be some kind of automation in Roto. We saw that automation in digital film restoration. 15 years back, we used to do all manual restoration. So now later the technology has come though. 50 to 60% of work is done while scanning, auto detection. So now we have seen some softwares already. They're still in development process. So AR VR is going to, with that, at least 50 to 60% can happen. Remote, even paint also, and roto also automated. So
Yeah.
balance everything the manpower will do. Yeah.
Sure.
It takes time.
I, yeah. I think there was also a little bit of fear which was there in this question that whether it will sort of replace human beings. It might, technology might prove it that it can replace, but it, like Praveen said, AR VR is a convergence of various technologies to create digital reality, and it can replace human
Sorry to
if we
interrupt,
want to.
but
Yeah,
we are 10 minutes past
yeah,
the
Yeah.
section
yeah.
has already begun.
Yes, yes, yes.
Kindly,
I mean, joining
Yeah, yeah.
members.
Just concluding that, Praveen. So, 100%, human
Okay.
being
Okay.
always wants to experiment with fantasy, and technologies do evolve. Even in India, we are now automating our tolls. That doesn't mean we will replace all the human beings.
Yeah.
So, technology exists. Whether we replace with the humans or not, totally again depends on the humans. So, there is nothing wrong in developing a technology as long as the solutions are available. But whether we use that or not is again decided by human beings. On that note, I thank every one of you. Mike, after your heavy travel, also you have made time available for this. Praveen and Mangesh, thank you very much for your participation and a very, very frank discussion.